board, which I hope you guys will continue to watch, as I have many good friends over there. I'm about to embark on a new venture, and while there were questions about what that is, I cannot announce it just yet, but I'll be announcing it in the next month or two, so I have to keep quiet until then. Anyhow, I am so pleased and honored to be here today. Carl Schramm and the Kaufman Foundation have been friends of mine for years now. I felt really blessed when I first got the opportunity to meet Carl down at the New York Stock Exchange floor a couple years ago, when we really started to talk about entrepreneurs in this country. And today, of course, we're here to talk about the state of entrepreneurialism and what we can do to cultivate it, to support it, to provide economic growth and opportunity, because everybody in this room knows that without entrepreneurs, we don't have job creation. And as married to a small business owner, my father being a small business owner, a lot of entrepreneurs in my family is something I feel very, very strongly about, and I want us to do more to empower the entrepreneurs and look at their examples. So today you can see terrific examples who I'm seated with at the table. We have a very, very special guest today. The Honorable Secretary Locke is here with us. To listen to the Secretary of Commerce in just moments, but before we do that, I want to bring up the President and CEO of the Kaufman Foundation, Carl Schramm, to talk about the state of entrepreneurialism in this country.
Thank you, Alexis, and I was going to tell everybody that your husband is a successful entrepreneur, so I'm sure in the next 30 days we'll hear you're going to be one too. Thank you all for coming. We are meeting here today at a great moment in our national economic life. The recession that began just over 2 years ago has taken a horrific toll on this country. Despite so-called green shoots, economists claim to see sprouting up around every corner. The recession continues to be all too real for 15 million unemployed Americans, a number that worsened last month despite the incipient recovery. While there is no magic solution to this, I want to talk today about a possible answer. Now, in the time it took for me just to say these few words, one new business was created in the United States that has created 4 new jobs. And by the time I finished this morning, there will be 30 brand new businesses that will probably create about 80 jobs. This is the hope and power of entrepreneurship. And while entrepreneurs are not the sought-after silver bullet, economic recovery will not happen without them. Will not happen without them. I approach this as an economist, a class of thinkers now notorious for their failure to foresee the financial crisis and recession, yet insistent on their ability to bring us out of it. But I also stand here as president of the Kaufman Foundation, whose donor, Ewing Kaufman, appreciated the contribution that American entrepreneurs have made to our economy and our society. In fact, as Ewing Kaufman saw it, America wouldn't be America without its entrepreneurs. And yet entrepreneurs are too often lost in glib economic policy discussions that center exclusively on interest rates, large-scale banks, and federal programs. These are indisputably important issues, but these policy instruments or institutions are not the primary engines of economic growth and the advances in human welfare. Only new companies bringing forth new jobs, new innovations, and new creative ideas are the bedrock of what our recovery will be. Increasingly, I'm pleased to report economists and policymakers are beginning to recognize the vital role of entrepreneurs. Happily, their heightened interest is due in large part to the Kaufman Foundation's significant funding of economic research over the last 6 years. But even when policymakers do speak of entrepreneurship, it is most often in abstract terms. How much entrepreneurs contribute to this or that indicator, as if these entrepreneurs were more a statistic than the living human phenomenon. And even that perspective can't be taken for granted. The dominant schools of economic thought in the 20th century downplayed or ignored the role of entrepreneurs, preferring instead to see all economic activity is the creature of three fundamental forces: big government, big unions, and big companies. Forgotten in this equation was the fundamental fact that every big company had to start small. There are no Athenas in the world of business, no companies that spring fully formed out of the head of their founder. They all begin with one person and one idea. The Ford Motor Company was once Henry Ford. That person is an entrepreneur, and the idea that sets him or her apart from the crowd, or compels him to leave a job, or her to strike out on her own and take a big risk, is in fact the issue of risk-taking. When that risk pans out, the result is a fast-growing company. Hundreds and possibly thousands of new jobs, new wealth invested in every sector of the economy and spent in every corner of our society, and most fundamentally, a new product, a service, or a business model that never existed before. Nearly everything we take for granted in our daily lives today began its own life that way, as the creation of an entrepreneur. Think about automobiles, air conditioning, and more recently, software and search engines. It's a very unpredictable process. I grew up in Syracuse, New York, the home of air conditioning. Absolutely, that's what Rose Carrier did. Given that entrepreneurs are vital to our nation's economic success and its social health, how are they doing? What is the state of entrepreneurship today? I begin with the proverbial good news and bad news. First, we know that in spite of everything, entrepreneurs are still active. Entrepreneurs are still the primary engine of job creation in the United States. In the last 30 years, literally all new net jobs in this country have been established and created in firms less than 5 years old. To illustrate this point better, in more concrete terms, consider one company, eBay. In its first 5 years of existence, it hired 640 people, an average of 128 new people a year. The eBays of the future are out there doing the same thing right now. John Kenneth Galbraith told us that the era of the entrepreneur was over in 1984. Intel, Microsoft, and Cisco were already underway. A more recent example is Mary Naylor, founder and CEO of VIP Desk, based here in Northern Virginia. She's here today and will be with us on the panel in a minute. Mary started her company with a loan from her mother of $2,000 and now runs the nation's largest concierge service. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how recoveries are made. Marys and Bills across the country, taking risks, borrowing money from mom and pop or the rich Uncle Ned, and creating a business that creates jobs. Second, entrepreneurs are not easily discouraged. We know from our own research at Kaufman that past recessions have not prevented the formation and growth of new companies. Indeed, half of the Fortune 500 firms were all founded in a recession or in a bear market. And I might remind you that recessions and bear markets only characterize about 20% of our economic history. They come in boom times and they come in bad times. Roughly 600,000 new entrepreneurs take their risks and create firms every year, about one per minute. That number is surprisingly constant. One might expect to see it fall in recessions, but it doesn't, in part because of laid off and unemployed workers often take the entrepreneurial leap, the step that perhaps they avoided in more stable times. Third, as America ages, the pool of potential entrepreneurs only increases.